story that featured on our newspaper headlines today involving you, and it came with mixed reactions. It's about the event that took place in Akure. You delivered a speech on the benefit and the opportunities of cannabis plant, and Vanguard newspaper reported it. I don't know if you've seen it. House of Representatives set to legalize use of Indian hemp for economic benefit, says spokesperson. And the Punch reported it as cannabis will aid our individual drive and boost IGR, says representative, says spokesman. Now, you know the moral standing of some Nigerians to issues like this, and it came with a lot of reactions, especially from Abians. So I would like you to explain more on that. Were you misconstrued?
You see, my position in government, in representing my people, it's a very sensitive position, and most times the newspapers sell their news with people like us who are playing this kind of sensitive position.
It's a obvious fact.
You are aware,
you are a newsmaker yourself, so
yeah. I don't know whether that is good. I don't know whether that is bad. But the issue is that newspapers have a way, like I just said a few minutes ago about the speaker and how they said that he was against the structuring. They have a way of pushing their narratives to be able to raise the people against the parliament and cause a news to trend. The issue remains that the Ondo state government has been in the forefront of the advocacy for alternative source of income, both for his state and for the Federal Republic of Nigeria, by looking at agriculture, and in this case, one of the plants that is being needed all over the world, an export quality plant that is needed all over the world for medicinal reasons, not for social enjoyment, not for smoking, for industrial reasons, for medicinal reasons, for pharmaceutical reasons, for the production of 50,000 products application, ranging from paper making. You make paper from textile, from cannabis. Many are not aware of this. You make textiles from cannabis. You make biodegradable plastics from cannabis. You make fuel from cannabis. You do construction with cannabis. You produce healthy food from cannabis, beverages from cannabis, personal care products from cannabis, pharmaceuticals from cannabis. And when people hear cannabis, they just think it's like we normally see in our normal parlance, Igbo, goof. We are going to be smoking. I will never support smoking. I've never smoked in my life. I'm a Christian. I'm a born-again Christian. Not just a Christian, I'm a born-again Christian. I've never smoked. I don't drink. I don't smoke, for those who know me, all through my life. We're not talking about personal enjoyment. We're looking at that particular plant as a source to help us, produce all these things I just mentioned to you at the moment. And also to increase our economic value by exporting some of these products outside the country. And this is in line. Let me tell you what a research has shown. According to verified market research, the global industrial hemp market, global industrial, I'm mentioning industrial, I'm not talking about your Igbo that you smoke. I'm not talking about your goof. I'm saying global industrial hemp market was valued at $5 billion in 2019. And it is projected to reach $36 billion by 2026, growing at a CAGR of 34% from 2019 to 2026. When issues come up like this, people are very sentimental and emotional. They don't go into critical thinking. They don't go into research. And the first response to new knowledge, to new innovation by tradition is attack. Attack is the first reaction of tradition to innovation. Let me give you an example. When I came up, it sounded very controversial when I said COVID is here. Repatriate, help to bring back all our people in diaspora. especially China. Nigerians came against me. Oh, he want to bring COVID into the country. Oh, why should we ask that? People who agreed with me to sponsor the motion abandoned me on the floor of the National Assembly. I didn't give up. At the end of the day, it was what the executive took. And today we brought back all our people from diaspora. Then it was controversial. Oh, Benjamin want to bring COVID to Nigeria. But it was the best option. Because if we abandon our compatriots in foreign lands, they will all die off there. And other nations were doing the same, bringing their people back. And why were we cut out? The same thing that is happening now. Other nations are buying into this particular substance, not for social enjoyment, but for industrial use. According to the consultancy firm known as Prohibition Partners, by 2023, that is 2 years from now, the value of Africans' legal cannabis market could be worth 7.1 billion US dollars. Currently, Malawi, small country, Zambia, small country, Zimbabwe, small country, Lesotho, and South Africa, small countries, have legalized the growing of industrial hemp. Emphasis on industrial. It's not all commerce affair. It's not where people who smoke goof will have access to it. If you touch it, you'll be arrested. When we say legalizing industrial use of cannabis, we're talking about how we can control the growing of cannabis for industrial purposes, and it will be limited to only few people as allowed by the United Nations Single Treaty. This is in line with United Nations Single Treaty. You know, Nigerians don't like reading. They don't like, getting information that will help them. As I was saying, Nigerians should not be left behind when the Committee of Nations, they are moving ahead with new innovation. Let me give you an example. The whole world is gradually moving away from oil and gas, fossil fuel, and there is a transition going into alternative sources of energy, empowering all these plants and vehicles and all the rest of them. I've attended some international conferences, just last week, and you see how the world is embracing electric cars. If you sit behind, waiting for your petrol car to, be the dream of 10 years, 20 years from now, you're making a mistake. You must embrace this innovation and run along with it. The same thing that is happening in the energy sector is also beginning to happen around other sectors. Agriculture is one of them. And there are so many benefits of, medicinal benefits of this particular plant, to the extent that the World Health Organization recommended that the United Nations should remove cannabis from Schedule 4 of the 1961 Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs and reclassify it as a medicinal and therapeutic substance. And this took place on December 2nd, 2020. So you see, if WHO came up and said, we have found something that is of benefit in this particular plant, please reclassify this particular substance from what it is to what it ought to be as medicinal and therapeutic. Which has informed several countries to legalize this, including African countries. It means that we are not the only one that is moving in this direction. So let's break it down. Has the House approved it? No. I just attended a press briefing where I mentioned that there is a bill before the House, and in our spirit of public engagement, that it will be good to hear what the public has to say about this piece of legislation, because we don't make laws for ourselves. We make laws for the people that have sent us to represent them, and for ourselves as well, because we are Nigerians. When we leave Parliament tomorrow, the law is going to apply to us. Now, in order to bridge the gap between the public and the Parliament, usually we have what we call the public engagement section, roundtables. This one has been sponsored by the Ondo State government, who is championing the advocacy with another organization, and I was invited to give a briefing on what I understand on the subject. And I said, yes, there is a law, a bill before the House, which we are considering to make sure that we expand the horizon of what it is now in our law to what it ought to be in view of what is happening in the whole world. It is called the amendment. It's called the Dangerous Drugs Act Amendment Bill 2020. And I'm saying when it is passed, it will usher in a new era on medicinal cannabis. And what people don't understand is that there is a structure that has been laid down by the United Nations, which must be followed if you're going to legalize it. And that will give you limited license. It's not everybody, it's not all commerce affair. It will give you limited license for cultivation. It will give you limited license for processing, limited license for export, limited license for distribution. So if you are seen with it and you don't have the license, you will be in trouble. And also, the medical use of it is for the treatment of pain, and epilepsy and all lot of things they have, captured. But in so doing, you don't just walk into the pharmacy, and pick it up. It is in line with the United Nations, this single treaty of the United Nations, that if you are below 21 years, you need a doctor to prescribe you to use it. If you are seen with it, it is illegal and you'll be punished for it. It is also recommended in that particular treaty that if you are over 21 years, you have to go to a pharmacy outlet. You don't just pick it from the street. And that pharmacy must have been approved by the Ministry of Health and the Office of Medical Cannabis, that will give the license. Now, the benefit of this is that the tax structure and social benefit that would come out of this particular, legalization will help us to solve some of our, social needs. For example, social project, education, healthcare. At least 10% that will come from the tax there, tax revenue is going to help Nigeria because it will create about 20,000 to 30,000 new jobs, and that is the truth. And it will reduce crime because most of the people who are smoking is because they don't have job. I can go on and on.
All right. So if I should allow you, I know you're going to continue.
Only, please let me round up.
All right.
The benefit of doing this is that we get feedback from the public. Once we get feedback from the public, we'll be able to know the direction to push our legislation. So that was what happened in Ondo State. We did not say, House of Rep has approved the passage of cannabis. No, that is not what happened there. Look out for my press release on that. Thank you.
Thank you for your clarification on that.